Welcome to People Love Process, and in this impromptu episode of Over the Shoulder Vector Building, I'm going to be building out a design for an actual project that I'm currently working on. So I'm not going to fully disclose what it is because it's not officially public yet. It won't be for quite a while. I wasn't going to present this idea to the client because part of their prerogative or feedback to me before I even began was they wanted a tiger graphic design to use in the work I'm doing for them, but they didn't want it to be overly aggressive. And I've done two other design directions. This was a third one that I was going to work on, but then the more I looked at it, I wasn't sure because its mouth was open. You could see teeth. This is the reference that you're seeing here. And so I wasn't going to present it to him. And then I'm going to be sending these off tomorrow in today. And I realized, you know what? I should let them make that decision. I don't not like it. I just was concerned it might be taken as aggressive. So I'm going to go ahead and build it out because ultimately, if they choose to go in one of the other directions, that's fine. I have a cool piece of art I could use for something else potentially. So it's not, there's no, you've heard of the no-win scenario. This is a no-lose scenario. So either way, it doesn't matter. I think it'd be fun, and so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to build it out. So with that said, let's jump into it. For me, the client provided me with a lot of photograph reference for tigers. This was one of them, and I like the positioning of the head, but I cut it in half, brought it into Photoshop, and so this is just identical clone from left and right. I can't remember what hemisphere I used, whether it was the right or the left, but this is what I drew from. And I just wanted it so it's looking straight forward because ultimately I'm going to take this graphic of the head and lock it up with the body. And because it's facing straight forward, I can use the same body for all three directions. So I'm not showing you that, but that's kind of what is part of the system that I'm delivering to them. And because it's a comprehensive system with a lot of different components, I need it to work well. And so that's why I'm doing it straightforward and kind of a symmetric drawing. So when I drew this out originally, if you compare the drawing I did to the photographic reference I was looking at, I'm not looking at the photograph and just, kind of capturing the exact forms because photography is very forgiving. This has to be a graphic, more illustrative design is what I would call it. And I wanted it to reflect the tiger, but I take liberty to, deduce and simplify shapes. So this is what I'm doing here. And then, of course, I take that, scan it in with my flatbed scanner, and then bring it into Photoshop and I reflect it. And when I reflect it, I'm just trying to make sure it's going to look good. And I can usually tell exactly after I reflect it if this is going to work or not. And then to help me see it, I'll do a fill on it. And that's what this is, just to give me a clarity of idea that it's going to work moving forward. And I think this is going to work. The more I look at it, I don't think it's too aggressive. The other two options that I'm showcasing and presenting don't have the mouth open, so they're docile more. But this one I don't think is menacing. So I think that's what they're trying to avoid. And again, it would make sense if I could explain the exact context, but I'm not going to do that. Let's go ahead. We're going to build this out, and this is exactly what I do, sitting behind my desk every day working on a project like that. So I'm just going to take this, adjust the opacity, much like I do. We'll do 40. I'll lock the layer, and on a layer above it, I'll start building stuff out. Now, usually I say that it's the easiest shape of all that I'll build first. In this case, it is. It's going to be I think we'll use this size. We'll go here, get elliptical shape, and I'll create the eye. Let's see, let's go down to 0.25. So you can see I'm zooming in quite a bit, but There, I'll make a copy of it. My keyboard shortcut like that. And then I'll make another copy. It just when you can make keyboard shortcuts, like for me, making a clone, I call it making a copy. It doesn't matter. It just makes a copy, and it's two commands that's assigned that I recorded as an action, and then assigned the F key, in this case, F3 key. And on my workstation, not in this booth where I record everything for my YouTube channel and courses, etc., but I also have Elgato. Now I can't remember the brand name. It's like a little secondary punch keyboard, and I can program all those, and I use that all the time. Stream Deck, that's what it's called. Couldn't think of it right off the bat. So I know based off of the other two Tiger graphics I created, I'm going to have another shape here that will be like a highlight shape, kind of like position right about there. Don't want it too close to this top part. And then I'm going to have refractive lighting on the bottom. So I'm going to make a couple copies of this shape. And then I usually do that by making this one a little larger, selecting this one, and we'll move Pathfinder over, and I'll go minus front. So now we have that little sliver shape. Then again, all of these are elliptical shapes. I'm not touching the pen tool. So I'll make another copy. I'll make this one larger. And I'm kind of paying attention to the curve I'm going to have in the eye, which will be, actually, that looks almost too good. So I'll select this, and I'm just going to go, since it's a perfect circle, I'll just bring it in to find that edge of the eye there. Select this, go intersect. Now I have that part. I'll go ahead and leave that as a whole shape, but on this one, I'll go ahead and cut it here, and I'll cut it where it comes to a point, gets a point here. Delete the rest, because I can continue from this point like that. So I do that quite a bit, where if I can create something with a shape, I will. So we'll do that. Come in here. I'm just going to finesse this curve. Kind of like that. And then this is where I jump to the Arc tool by Astute Graphics, one of their best plugins. It's part of their Subscribe plugin, because I can just create curves like this without ever having to touch the Bezier handles. So I'll do that. I'll go in here. Go like that. I don't want this a perfect curve. I don't want a straight line, that is. This one I'll do with the pen tool because it's more of an S curve, but anything that's just a regular curve. Now, technically I don't need this, so I can select it and go Smart Remove, and I do that quite a bit as well. Sometimes on extreme curves, once it gets over a certain degree, it'll add an anchor point there, but you can Smart Remove it, so it's really not needed. On this one, I usually try to create a S curve like this. Make sure, because I can go grab the ghost handles and adjust those coming out of the two anchor points to see if it's, sometimes it's a little too extreme or it ends up looking flat, and I think this one kind of does. So I'll put one in the middle, and then I'll adjust this just to get better, more elegant freeform curves. Something like that. I think this looks a little off. So I usually pull it away. Then I'll adjust my Bezier handles. Something like that. I think that looks fine. Moving on to other shapes. This is a good example of a shape. All you have to discern is where it comes to a point, gets a point. We can use the arc tool to create all these curves. And the curves work great when it's a perfect curve, but at times, like that's a perfect curve, but notice at the top it's a little thin. So I'll lay it down knowing that I'm going to come back, select it, grab this handle, and adjust it to align because I like how my drawing looks, not so much that it's perfect geometry. And then I'll smart remove this one because you don't really need it. And then we'll just continue building. And because this is symmetric, I only have to do half. I'm not going to build any of the shapes on the right because we'll reflect what we come up with here. Like that. And then this will be subtly curved like that. I could leave these. It's not a big deal, but why not just remove it because you don't need it. And I usually finesse with them anyway. So we're going to do this. This will be curved. Come to a point, gets a point, and we'll close it. Then I'll go back to the Path Scribe tool. By the way, you do all of this kind of vector work here. You'd have to use the anchor point tool to do this natively in Illustrator. I just rarely use that tool. It's just a ripoff of Astute's Path Scribe anyway, because once Astute came out with it, like they had that out like, I don't know, I want to say 6 years before Adobe decided, hey, we have an original idea. And they tried to buy Astute twice, and they didn't want to pay Astute's severance packages to their employees. So Astute has integrity and said, well, no thanks. And so instead of buying it out and integrating their products into their software, they just decide to have their engineers kind of steal those features and not integrate them as smart as Astute did. So there's that. I know that's probably why I don't get invited to speak at Max. It's because I say stuff like this, but it's true. And I'm not going to play the whole social media game, like posting reels and just, you know, I've been asked to do reels and stuff, but it's nothing I want to, it's nothing that I buy into. A good example of that, in my opinion, over the last few years was Intertwine. Lots of hoopla about this is amazing. And I'm going, and I'm on the beta forum, and so I'm part of a Slack, private Slack channel for Adobe Beta. And when that came out, I just made the comment that this is half-baked. And one of the engineers kind of got upset with me. Well, I don't understand. So I said, well, I'm not going to post it right here in the comment threads, but if you want to DM me, I'll explain it. I think I have a valid point. And he goes, okay. And so he did, and I explained it. And he said, okay, that does make sense. And I go, well, could you do that? And I gave him a suggestion and how they could make it an actually useful feature. Oh, yeah, we could do that. And I go, then that's what you should do. You should add that to that feature. Oh, well, I don't know. And then it became a political thing. I'm going, okay, I see how it is. But if a huge multi-million-dollar ad agency that pays a licensing fee for Adobe to use their software every year, upwards, talking WPP out of London, they pay over $40 million to license Adobe Creative Cloud with their entire global team. If they had a problem with Intertwine and they requested it, guess what? It'd be greenlit and they'd be doing it. But when it's just an individual who comes up with a decent idea, Much like the drag and drop swatches to desktop feature that got overwhelmingly supported on the user voice forum for Adobe as a feature people wanted to see come to Illustrator, and then they half bake that, and they created the, I don't know, swatch library, whatever it's called. It's right here. It's called generate or create swatch info. This is what they did instead, which just rips off some user of Illustrator who custom coded his own script. And it just takes that exact type of script, looks a little better, but it's not original. They just, again, took other people's creative ideas, and because of, I think, the way the API is written for people who develop products that work with Illustrator, Adobe, it allows for Adobe to just steal the content and use it at will. From what I understand, I may be wrong, but I just think it's kind of, it's questionable ethically, in my opinion. It's like, really, you're a $1 billion company. You can afford to, throw a bone to some designer who happened to come up with an idea that your whole team never thought of, and it got successful. So instead of just approaching them and say, hey, we love what you did. How about this? We'll pay you $25,000 in order to integrate it into Illustrator. They could do that. That's like nothing. But Adobe doesn't think that way. And they wonder why. I'm sorry, I didn't think it would ever happen. But Affinity is gaining traction. It just is. I have a good friend who was hardcore Adobe for a long time. And he's now moved over to Affinity and actually an employee of theirs now. So okay. Tigers, by the way, are just awesome. My family's cat people. I grew up with dogs. I love dogs too, but my wife and daughters, they absolutely love our cats, and our cats, they just hang out with us all the time. That's kind of the way we treat them, is they're just, part of our family. And like cats, at times they're awesome, and they want you to pay attention to them, and other times it's like, yeah, I don't need you. I like their independence. I guess that's what I like about cats. But we've had the fortune to have some pretty cool cats. And I've seen videos online of like people who've worked in a wildlife habitat type situation, and they help raise these lion cubs. Can't remember the guy's name, but I've watched his videos several times. And he raised them since they were little tiny cubs, so they bonded to him. And I saw some video where he goes back, I forget how many years later, where they're huge. They're like adult size. And he was afraid they wouldn't recognize him or whatever. Oh, man. They recognized him. They just tackled him and were just like rubbing against him. So happy to see him. It's just, I'm going, that'd be cool. If you didn't have the fear they'd rip your head off and chew on your bones. That'd be a lot of fun. Okay. Again, I'll finesse these. Normally I get all the detailing of the face in, but I don't know, since I'm here, I'll go ahead and start building the inner part of the face like that. This is the easiest part to build because we're not doing any Bezier work. Wherever it comes to a point gets a point, so it's easy to discern these. And actually the style here, this style is actually called tiger tooth style of kind of simplifying and stuff. At least within illustration proper, I've heard it referred to as that over the years. So I've always used it. Not sure where the term came from. I don't even remember when I first heard it, but it made sense because the reason why they said that is because it kind of looks like how tiger stripes would be. Okay. You can see how easy it is to do these curves. Just click and then just adjust it visually like that. We'll put this curve in here. And all of the tiger graphics I've created so far, I'm using the same kind of width tolerance of this drawing that matches the other two that I've already created. So I'm not just winging this. I kind of drew them all at the same time. I just didn't decide to use this one, and now I'm deciding I need to. And I have to build it today because I have to send it tomorrow, and I need time to do all the other components that I did like the other two that I'll have to do with this one now. So let's see. I think I'm going to go... You know what? I'm going to stop that one there because I want to work on his mouth. Let's do his, well, we'll do his nose. The easiest part is I'm going to make elliptical shape here to knock out. This is almost like a whale tail here for his nose. Then I'll use the arch tool to go from here to here. And I'll pull it out further than what I know I need. I'm going to get rid of that, smart remove it. By the way, the smart remove with the Stutz plugins, which is on their PathScribe panel, is just way smarter than Adobe. Adobe's method, I can't even remember it because I just stopped trying to use it because, one, it didn't work as good. At times I go, what? That's not smart. It moved. It still distorted the artwork. So that's the main reason why I don't use it. The other reason is it's very non-intuitive. It's like 2 steps in order to do it. And with the Stut, you just highlight the anchor, hit that button, done. It's just easier. So, you know, for as much as I mention Stut, I don't get any kickbacks from them whatsoever. I'm just a huge admirer of tools that just work really good, and theirs works really good. Now, here's one where I actually want this to come in a bit, so I don't want because the nostril breaks it up, it doesn't have to flow through this shape. Like that. Now I'll bring this to the front, select this, go to Pathfinder and go minus front. Now we have the nostril. Let's use another elliptical shape. I'll start kind of here. Bottom looks fine, like that. I'll bring this up to get this side aligned. Now I can distort it. I'll select these two, drag them down. So we're almost making like an egg type shape. And then I think we can get the rest of it by adjusting that. And I think this one we can pull in right about there. So if you start off with a circle, you can get a curve like this to make it look, to make it work well. I think this needs to be pulled up a bit. And if I'm unsure, I'll just move it away, then bring it back down. That's another thing. Like, I just scrolled the screen up by holding the space bar down like this because I want to look at it straight on, straight across from my eyes to the screen. Whereas if it's down here, I'm looking like this down, and it's harder to determine if I need to make any adjustments. So that's why I do that. I don't know what you'd call that other than you get a better idea of how it's working. Let's clone this. And I'm just going to drag this over. And I'll drag this down. We'll drag this over. I'll drag this one down and over. I'm just looking at this curve. I don't care about what this does up there. I think this could be a little thicker. This is too flat, so I'll pull this one in. This area doesn't really matter. This will be all black anyway. That's the other thing. This has to work in a lot of different contexts. So yes, it's quote unquote illustrative, but we have a simplified color palette. Some of it are existing brand colors for the business I'm working with. Okay, so we're going to take this original egg type shape, bring it to the front, select this other weird shape, and go minus front. So you can see we get that wisp for, what do you call it? I don't know, his jowls or cheeks, top of the mouth, whatever you call the tiger. This is the kind of stuff I ran into when I was working with the zoology college last year. Is we'd be talking about something, and they're trying to explain to me, well, we want a little more detail here and here, and I had to right at the beginning when I started working with them, I had to kind of set some boundaries and explain to them. And I go, look, you have to remember this isn't photography. This is iconic imagery to communicate, in one case, a gorilla, but it's not going to have as much detail that an actual photograph of a gorilla had. Or even if you silhouetted a photograph, you'll have way more detail. You can't do that. That won't work. As soon as I took the time to really break it down and explain it to them, and well, what really helped, I said, think of it this way. Think of the shape that you're trying to work an animal into and use that to inspire you what animal would best fit that shape. Once I did that for them, it was like a game. It really did kind of help. It was kind of cool how it all worked out. So that was just one of the funnest projects I've ever worked on. Worked on it for about 4 months, but just super, super fun project. Do I have the wrong one? I think I grabbed the wrong one. No, that's the right one. Okay, let's zoom in. We're going to start with this one now that I have the edge of this selected. I want it to terminate right where it touches the edge of that mouth, whatever you call it. Like that. And then I'll continue that and I'll go here. This is going to be kind of weird, but I'm just thinking. I don't think I'm going to do it that way. I think I figured out what I need to do. Okay, Then we'll start on the outside. My daughter Savannah, who graduated from design school, a little over 6 years ago, I think. She worked with me for about 5 years, and first day of her working for me, I said, "You have to read my book," and then she does amazing illustration using she loves illustrating on her iPad, so she's using Clip Studio Paint, which is a pretty amazing piece of software. I don't use it, but I've watched her use it, and it's pretty cool how it works. The interface doesn't look like a mobile app, though. It looks like you're using Photoshop. So I like the fact they don't feel obligated to make everything look overly simple like Apple seems to love to do. That's so frustrating at times. But the reason why I bring it up is she also can create really good vector artwork too. And the thing is, she's faster than I am. I don't consider myself fast, really. I'm just trying to be precise. I'm not trying to win a race or anything like that, but she really does. Like, I give her stuff to create, and boom, she gets it done. I go, "What? You're done already?" And I'm going, "Send me the file. I need to look at it." And then I would scrutinize it. I give her a bad time too, because like she'd do something that I'd never do it that way. And I go, "Did you even read my book?" And she'd always like slug me. But it's cool. It's like for back from 1997 till about 2001, I worked at Upper Deck, and I was hired to be part of their design team for Major League Baseball, and I worked on that. And then I was just getting everything done faster, not because I was trying to get it done fast. It's just I was used to working at that pace. And we would get master schedules for like 40-day period, and we'd know every meeting we'd have to go to, when you'd have to have comps done, everything. And as long as we hit that schedule, nobody cared what you did. It was like totally foreign to me. I had a micromanaging boss before that who would literally come in, sit behind me, and have me go through design directions and say, "Move that over this and move this up a little bit," just micromanaging everything. And the thing is, to this day, he still doesn't use the computer. He has to hire other people to create his ideas, which is one of the reasons why I left there. And that was back when I was using freehand too. And once I got the hang of what his modus operandi was, I should not have done this, but I did do it. So I'll just tell you that up front, is I knew he was going to be coming back, and again, kind of sitting behind my shoulder. So I'd make a copy of the layers I was going to show him, and I'd move it to a new layer, and I'd turn that layer off. And then he would come in. He would have me do all these stupid little micro adjustments, which it wasn't like there was anything wrong or he was drastically improving it. No, it was just, he just felt like then he had some part of the process, I think. I don't know. It was some weird thing that he was obsessed to do, even though he could never just never look at some and go, "Yeah, it looks great." And so he would leave, and then I just delete the layer that I was showing him, turn on my other layers back on, and it never made any difference. It's like he still thought I shouldn't have done that. I wouldn't do that now, but I was young and stupid, and yeah. I'm still friends with him. I should probably tell him sometime I did that. He'd probably get pissed all these years later. I mean, that was like, wow, that's 31 years ago. Yeah, that before I moved from Oregon to California to work at Upper Deck, I had an interview with Adidas America, which is based out of the Portland area. And it was for an associate art director position. And I had like a 3-hour interview with them, and they offered me the job. But for some reason, it just didn't feel like the right move for me. I don't know why, because it was everything I thought would be a blast. You're working for Adidas. I love Adidas shoes. I like their sportswear. I would be an associate creative director or art director for the sportswear division. And it was just everything that I thought would be fun. Their campus was awesome. But I ultimately turned it down. I just didn't feel it was the right move for me. And I stayed at the design place I was at, and for a whole year I was just second guessing myself. Why did I do that? Should I have turned that job down? I was like going, oh, I'm an idiot. So but I just didn't feel it was the right move for me at the time. And then one night, and it's weird how things come about, my wife goes, hey, we need more milk. Could you go to the grocery store and get milk? So I drove down there, and I'm walking to the counter, and I'm going by the periodical section. Now, growing up, I used to collect baseball cards and everything, and there was a pricing guide called the Beckett price. It was like a card pricing. You could look up cards, see how much they're worth. And I was just looking, I don't know why I even stopped there, but I was looking at the periodicals, and I saw the Beckett, and I'm going, wow, I haven't looked at one of those since high school at that time, so it'd been quite a while. And I pull it out, and I'm going, wow, this is like all full color now. And it's like back when I used to get it, it was like, looked like Auto Trader printed on really crappy paper. They had full color ads, and one of the ads on the back there was Upper Deck. And I'm going, well, I'd heard when Upper Deck came out. That's when I was in art school when they kind of came out. And so I knew them as a company, but I hadn't paid any attention to sports cards for quite a while. And I'm looking at, oops, that's not going to work. I was looking at the sports card they had in their ad is for a football card set they were doing. And it had a holographic foil, and it just had all this stuff about it. And I'm going, wow, that's a little nicer than the cards I used to collect. Foil and foil stamping, holographic foil for security. It's just really kind of impressive. And so I was going, interesting. And I was talking to my brother the next week, and I said, and I was telling him, yeah, I've been kind of thinking of looking for a new job. And at the time, this is before the internet, mind you. And I said, hey, could you do me a favor? If you see anything in your classifieds down there, let me know. Because I wasn't opposed to moving or whatever. And about a week later, I get actually a physical letter from my brother, and all it is classifieds in it. And one of those classifieds ads was for a job at Upper Deck. And I'm going, really? Well, that's interesting. And so I decided I'm going to apply. And that's what I did. I put my resume together and sent it down with some samples, and it got me a phone interview. And so I did the phone interview, and that went okay. And well, the only thing I was concerned about is in the ad, it said they use Adobe Illustrator. I had only used Freehand at that time. I think I was on Freehand 7 or something like that. And he said, well, is that going to be a problem? And I go, well, no, I create artwork all the time and I just save it out as Illustrator and it works fine. And as soon as I said that, oh, okay, well, then that's fine. We'll get you freehand so you can still do the same thing here. And I go, okay, cool. That's awesome. And they said, well, we want to fly you down for a face-to-face interview. And I go, okay. So obviously this is before TSA because I went in. Wow, that's weird. Check this out. So I have these. What's going on? Okay, all these shapes here. I don't know why it's doing this. Okay, so I fill them, right? I go to unite. Let's unite them. My unite's not working. Pathfinder's not working. What? Is it just because I'm not on fill? That wouldn't make sense. It's like the Pathfinder palette just decided to stop working. Thank you, Adobe. You make user experience so lovely. I don't know why. I've never seen that before. That's weird. Maybe I just have to What? Am I on some weird layer? No, I'm on my build layer. Okay, well, long story short, when it comes to Upper Deck, I left work at 1 o'clock, said I had something to do personally in the afternoon. My wife drove me up to the airport, jumped on the airplane, get down to San Diego, and my brother picks me up. We head to Upper Deck. I didn't get to Upper Deck until like 5:45, so I was late. I was wearing a t-shirt, shorts, and flip-flops. My portfolio was a binder with just color printouts in it. Everything you should not do for an interview. I go in. The interview went great. The head of the baseball team was there. He was part of the interview, interviewing me. His name is Vincent. We're still really good friends to this day. And he offers me the job. So I knew I was going to be moving to California. And the rest is history. It was a lot of fun. It was awesome. But I'm not sure why this is working. I don't think it'll correct itself. So I'm going to stop recording, restart my machine and reboot Illustrator, and I'll be back for you. It'll be next. Okay, I'm back. I restarted my machine, rebooted Illustrator. Let's see if this is working. So, I mean, I've never seen that before. So we're just going to select these shapes we're trying to unite, and I'll select them. Oh, and now it acts as if it's going to work, and it works. Wow. Okay, so that's the first ever documented bug that I've seen in Adobe Illustrator 2025 that happened while I was actually recording a movie. So, wow, that's okay. There is another bug that's in Illustrator, and I don't think it's released in the public release yet, but it's fixed in the beta, and that is you'll do something if you're in isolation mode and you come out of it, it won't show you what's on screen. You have to like do you have to go Command Y and do this, and then it will redraw it. That's a known bug. I know that. That freaked me out when that happened because I've never seen it happen, but I've never seen the Pathfinder just say, nope, not going to do any more work. And so that's what that is about. That's interesting. Okay. Now, to create this curve here, I'm going to try to do an offset. And that's too much. So let's do it 9. Seven, maybe? I think it's okay. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in and with the arch tool, and I'll go off at this point, but I want my curve to be more like that. Then I'll just clone it, go to the reflect tool, find a central anchor point, reflect it over. This bottom part, I'm going to actually build both left and right side. Now I'll create the chin. And by the way, if I'm going to turn this off for a second, if you look at the reference, their chin just looks like just a Furby or something. It's just a fuzz. You don't really see a pronounced chin. So, part of drawing is, deconstructing what the complexity you see and deducing it down into a simple shape. Do their chins actually look like this? No. But does it communicate the chin of, in this case, a tiger? Yeah. So that's all you need to worry about. So all of these, again, this is the easiest type of building using the Arc tool. Part of the Subscribe plugin by Astute Graphics. Like that. And go down where it comes a point. Then we'll close the shape. Now, if I go back to Pathscribe, and this is why I like it, because I can grab these ghost handles and get the exact finessing of the Bezier shape, like that. That looks good. Select this, clone it, go to the Reflect tool, find a central anchor point, reflect it, select the two chin parts, unite them, select the offset shape, make sure that's on front, bring it to the front, select this, and then we can trim it. Okay, now we'll create this shape. And I think what I want to do is find a good angle, probably right about there. Then we're going to put an anchor point here to kind of control that curve. Then where it comes a point, gets a point. And then we can switch to Pathscribe so we can get the ghost handle. Finesse it. This part, we might zoom in just to make sure we have a decent angle. I think that's pretty good. I think what I'm going to do is just ever so slightly pull that out a little bit. I think this can go down. Then we can curve this more. Let's zoom out. This is pulled out way too much. This might be the case where I put well, I'll try some. I'll go here. Then I'm going to go here and I'm going to go Smart Remove. Okay. This puts too much pressure on this one, so I'll bring that back in. And we'll see if we can create this S curve with just, actually, that looks pretty good. I think that'll work. I'm going to do something else. I'm going to put one right here. I think I like that better. Okay, let's finish out the bottom with the Arc tool. Upper Deck was a fun job. I learned so much while I was there that I just never had the opportunity. I was never given as much responsibility for like an entire campaign. Like they had one product where they're doing their first ever digital baseball card. And it was actually, think of a CD, a data CD, that was die cut, but you could put in a CD tray and it would spin up and you could get stats, and it had video highlights of the player. And so I had to design whatever is printed on that, and then create all the point of sales signage. Like I did a mobile that could hang from the ceiling in a shop and there's cards floating around it. That was kind of fun. I'd never done anything like that before. And I designed everything. So the only problem is card collectors prefer paper. And so ultimately it didn't really go anywhere, not because the design sucked. It's just, I think it was too kind of, I don't like using the term too ahead of its time. But I just don't think the industry just doesn't really go for that kind of stuff. I think they prefer just regular paper products. I don't blame them, actually. I kind of do as well. Besides, in 30 years, a physical card is going to still work because all it takes is the human brain and eyeballs to appreciate it. A CD, there's when Apple killed the CD, that was one of the first things I just thought of is, yeah, those guys aren't going to be able to view those cards anymore. So it probably wasn't thought out as well technology-wise, in my opinion. Okay. I think we have mostly everything here to, yeah, I think we do have everything. Okay, so I'm going to select this. I'm going to copy it, group it, and I'm going to move it to my X layer. Hey, the X layer is supposed to be red, not pink. There we go. And now what I want to do is everything on this side minus the chin. The chin's already transcending each side. So I'll take all of this, clone it, Command-C, Command-F, go to the reflect tool, find a central anchor point like this one, and reflect them over. Now, we're just going to select some of these elements here. And we'll go all the way down here to these shapes. We'll select these. And we have the nose shapes. This. Okay, we need to select these and these. I think that's everything. Nope, we have these. Okay, I think we have everything selected. So all we're going to do now is go unite. And we'll just check. Fill it black. Yep, that looks good. Select this. We don't want the outline. We'll get rid of that. Cut it. Select these. Paste behind. We're going to take... Take this shape, clone it, select these. All I'm doing is I'm trimming the teeth since it goes underneath the top of the mouth, like that. Then I'll take this. I'll select this. We might get a redundant anchor point here. We might have to clean that up, so I'll go ahead and unite it. And I think we do. So if I pull this, you can see, yep. That's what you're going to run into. This is where Illustrator could be a lot smarter. It should know we don't want that. So sometimes you can just keep the shape selected and hit unite again, and sometimes it resolves it. But here it didn't. So how would you fix this? Well, one thing we could try to do is we have this already going here, and we have this. We could select both of these and just go Smart Remove, and boom. That's why I like plugins. It makes solving some of these problems at times that happen, not because you did anything wrong, it's just illustrators. Well, like, see over here, this what, okay. So let's undo that. So over here, no, that's showing 2 as well. Okay. Well, let's select both of them at the same time and go Smart Remove. There we go. So that's the easiest thing to do, is just do that. Okay. Select this. Back. These we're going to have stay on top here, but we'll color these white. No outline, like that. And on these, we're going to go compound and release. You might have to ungroup it. Deselect the outermost shape, which is the black. All these, and actually, let's just do this. We'll take this interior shape. This will be white. Select this and send it to the back. So all the stripes will now, that aren't connected to it, will be on top. And now we're getting to the point we can start coloring this. So I'm going to take this, zoom in on his eyes, making sure this is in front. I'll take the base part of the eye and I'll just minus front, knock that out, making sure this one's in front, this, and knock this out. These shapes, cut them because they'll go behind these shapes. And then we'll go Command B to paste behind. The shape here behind, I'll go ahead and color it. This is going to be one of their brand colors. In this case, this is called Curry Red. And these will be highlights, so no outline. We'll color those white. And on this one, I think we're just going to do a tint. Since we're using global colors, we can go up here and set a tint. So set it. So I'm going to set it to like 60. So it's more of a refraction, light reflection, refractive light. That's what I'm trying to say. Having a George Bush moment there. Okay. We're going to take these elements on the inside, actually everything that's the free-floating black stripes and shapes that make up the pattern of a tiger. We're going to select all those because we need to, I like to say, punch them through the base shape, or in proper vector nomenclature, it would be to minus front. That's what an engineer would like to call it. Okay, so there are all these shapes. So I'll go ahead and just unite these. So it's one compound path. This is the shape they need to come out of. Maybe, is that one? I didn't check the top here. Okay, I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to nudge this one up a little bit. Ooh, well, that's in a, oh, how did, what? There we go. Okay, I moved it irregularly. I think all I'm going to do is I'm going to color that the same color, select all of them, unite them, and we'll just punch this through this base white. So we'll select those shapes. We'll unite those as well. Select the black, send to back, select this, select the white, minus front. Now every time you do that, it's going to go back to a group. So in this case, I want to keep this a compound, like that. Now some of the, there is distinct brand colors this client has that I'm using, which is the eyes, which just happen to work with the tiger. Their eyes tend to be kind of a golden yellow. But the tonal family here, this is another one of their colors, which we're not using blue in the tiger. We're going to use a tint of blue to do some of the detailing on the white elements in the tiger's pattern. The color I'm introducing is tiger orange. I told them we need black, we need orange if we're doing a tiger, unless you want your tiger blue or whatever. So they acknowledge that. So we're going to color that. The teeth will just be white. Now, it's usually at this point when I create vector art that I'll print out a black and white and I'll draw on it to figure out the shading, because if you look at a tiger again, let's turn these off. They have white areas. So it goes from their nice kind of orangish fur color into these white areas. Well, much like I deduce the shapes of the face and the detail of its pattern on a tiger just to communicate a tiger, I want to do the same thing when it comes to the shading. Now, I didn't have anything drawn or built vector-wise. I built it right here. So I just took the sketch and drew on a copy of the sketch I printed out to figure out where that shading is. So what's the light is the white, and where the pencil is going to end up being the orange showing through. So I have to build these areas that are on the white here. So this, what I usually do is I'll draw it out, scan it in, place it, align it with my drawing. In this case, we want to adjust the opacity so we can see the shapes underneath that we need to snap to, because we have snapping turned on. And I'll go ahead and turn that off. I'm going to drag this down, put it under temp, and then on the temp layer, this is where I'm going to build these white shapes. So I'm going to zoom in here. You can see it's not a perfect alignment with my drawing. That's okay, because it is a sketch, so I didn't expect it to be super tight, but it's going to remind me where I need to create elements. So we're going to go to our graphic styles. I'll select, I don't know what this is. We'll select 0.25. I'll go to the arc tool here. I'll start here from this anchor point. And I want to have this little rim of white, because most of his, I don't know what you call it, not the nose, but the muzzle? I don't know. I should have probably figured that out before I did this. It's white. So we're gonna use that same principle of what did I just do? Okay, let's try that again. I'm trying to talk and do stuff at the same time. That's not always the best thing to do. So I'm going to build this shape, then this will go up here. I'm taking advantage of snapping it to existing anchor points. And then the rest of this, it doesn't need to be super precise, because it's going to be trimmed anyway once we just switch the regular pen tool to do this part. So all these will ultimately be trimmed. Now we're starting to snap, so I'll turn off Smart Guides so I can get into here and close this shape like that. So if I turn off this, you can see that's all we're doing. And actually, just to make it easier, we'll go ahead and just color the base so we can see our path easier. That way we're not kind of dealing with that. It's a lot easier to view things that way. So that's all we're going to do, is we're going to build each of these white areas the same way. So I'll use the same tolerance that I have here. And I'll create that part. And I'll go here. And I'm switching this arc tool because I want to get curves in here. I don't want this to be straight lines. And I'm trying to match this curve so it flows into that stripe, that type of thing. Then here, we want this to be kind of curved. And I'll go all the way up here. Make sure that's encompassed within the black area. Then this is where it's going to imply this is part of the fur. So we have these tiger tooth styled areas like that. that. This one, I'm going to go all the way up here. Actually, I'm going to undo that. I want this to look better if it goes right about here so we can curve it more. Then we can go all the way down to here. Put a nice curve on it. This is going to be in the black, so it doesn't really matter. And then okay, we can close it with the original anchor there. So we have all this area. We have the area by the nose. We just need to do this top and a little tuft of white up here. Let's go ahead and do that first. So again, I'm trying to make this curve align with, well, that doesn't look too hot. Let's zoom in on this area. We'll start with this one. And we'll go right about here. Just to get a subtle curve here. That's going to be even more subtle. That's all we need to do. Zoom out. We're zoomed in too far. Go here. That looks good. There we go. And just the part above and around the eye. Oops. Go here. Oops, make sure we have the arc tool. I like that. That goes right into the eye. That looks good. And then I think I'm gonna, yeah, that looks better. Okay. And then I think I wasn't intending this this to take so long. Like I said, if my daughter was doing this, she'd probably be done already. Okay. That looks better. Okie dokie. Just a few more shapes and then a few detailing, and then we're Gonna call it quits. Okay. Wait a minute. What? Did I goof this up? Okay. That's fine. There we go. And okay, I'm gonna have to round these. That's the other thing. There's certain detail that I need to do on the black before we utilize the shapes we're just building. So I have all the areas that are going to be white. Of course, now that I'm remembering, this won't be orange. This will just be white on his chin. So I'll change that so it doesn't make it orange. The other elements I need to create are the part that we're going to use the blue color. And the blue color will just be a tint, like 15% of the blue. And that's just to give some shading values on the white elements. And so because it's going to be the blue, I'll just use a blue color so we can distinguish that. And I'll go from here to here like that. Then we'll go here. And I'll go right to that point, just like something like that. And then I'll just adjust this. I think it looks better, thinner, kind of like that. And then I'll just close this shape. So we'll use that to add a bit of detailing there. The teeth, I'm just going to leave white. And then turn that back on. Now I'm just going to hover here. Oops. Change the color. Change it back to blue. That's just to get this part, which I think is fine. I don't need all of it, so I'll just use the throwaway shape and intersect with Pathfinder. Just isolate that. That'll create that shadow there. This will flip over there. I just want to do some of it here on the white that will be here. And because I know this edge is going to come over there, we'll play off of that part first. So I'll go here where it says intersect. That's telling me I'm at the right location. Click, bring this all the way down, and I'm just going to create that little shadow shape. That's all I'm doing here. And then we'll do this here. And I believe that will be all of it. Let me zoom out just to make sure. I think so. Okay, I'm going to turn off our sketch now. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the base art here. Copy that out and then paste behind because that'll remain white. This is going to change to that. Now, if you wanted to, you could go Command A, then you could clone it, group it, and we could move all of that into our X layer. I usually do that just because, man, there's so many times that saved my bacon. So I'm just going to take all these shapes that are going to be white. So all these and this. And we'll just go ahead and unite all those. And just so you can see it, I'll color it this faint blue. You can see we have the blue on top. Now, the one thing I want to do, though, is... Oh, we have an outline. Get rid of the outline. There we go. Is... let me turn the temp layer off. I want to go in on these eyes. I don't want this to stay this way. So you could use the corner widget. I'm going to use dynamic corners because I'm not completely sure what I want yet. So... And I don't have to pre-select anything. Yeah, that looks cool. So I'll copy it. So I'll copy this. I'll bring it over here and paste that. Copy that and paste that. That's why I like using that tool. Another thing I'm going to do, and before I do it, I'm going to make a copy of this layer. So let's go duplicate, turn off this one, and then we'll go... I'll just call this, for lack of better terms, base final. And what I'm going to do, and I probably should have done this before I reflected, but I didn't think about it, is I don't want all these coming to dagger sharp points. So I'm going to put these little rounds on them, like this. Only on the very sharp vertices. So instead of coming to a dagger sharp point, you know, I think that's going to work. Hold on, I need to check something. Yeah, that'll work. I just find it just looks better. Vector art tends to be too sharp, too clean. And this kind of gives it a nice human touch, or more natural touch, I guess. That. The reason why I don't use a corner widget for this is because you can't see everything to select everything at the same time and use it. So that's why I rarely use that for doing this kind of stuff. I just find this works fine. Just noticed something. I'm just undoing, because I notice I think we have an extra anchor point here. Yeah, see, this is... That's unfortunate. Okay. Because Illustrator's too precise, according to their engineers. So, how would I resolve this? Well, one thing you could do, again, only if you have a plugin, is you could go reposition points, and you could move that point here. So now you can isolate this, and oh wow, it has more than one. Crap. Okay. Yeah, that's a lot harder. unfortunately, this is what Illustrator does. So we have we have 3 redundant anchor points there. This is what I have to deal with at times. So how would I adjust that? Let me just try uniting. See if that fixes it. Sometimes it does. Yeah, it didn't do anything. Okay, well, unfortunately, I'm just going to ignore that at this point. I have to fix it. So we're just going to go ahead and I'll copy this. I'll go here. And I'm just going to put these. Now I'm kind of stuck. That really bugs me. I don't want to leave that in there, but I don't want to spend all the time. So this is what I'm going to do. Boy, this is raw and unedited, isn't it? Because this is what I run into in the real world. I'm going to go back to this one. And did I lose my chin? How did I lose the chin? What? I lost my chin shape. What the hell? What happened to my chin? Did I bring it up here by accident? Well, here's a good example of using an X layer method because I lost my chin. I don't know how I did that, but now it's back. So vector insurance. I'm not going to round all those. For the sake of this video, I won't bother doing that, but I would go in and do that, and I will. I'll actually just do it off camera because I need to fix that anchor point because, by the way, I wasn't paying attention because if I select this shape, it's not saying there's any, usually this lights up if there's a redundant anchor point, but if I go in on that, maybe it's just not truly redundant. Oh, I screwed up. Okay, Astute Graphics is honest because if there was a redundant, this icon would light up. Wow. Okay, so I just wasn't zoomed in enough to pay attention that I have 3 elements here. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do is just nudge this up 1. Oh, wow, that goes way too far. Okay, we're zoomed. We're at holy cow, we're at 49,000%. No, seriously? Okay. Yeah, that's why it went up way too far. So I'm just going to create a little shape like this. Let's see if we can zoom in further. Nope, we're at max zoom. So that tells you how far I am. I'm going to deselect this, select this one, anchor point, put that anchor point here so it snaps to the one I want to select. So this one, I'll grab it, move it up so it snaps there. That's all I'm going to do. Now, here's the rub. We have to do it on the other side. So that looks pretty horrible, but we're going to zoom all the way out. You can see how small this is. We're zoomed way, way in. So I'll go ahead, deselect, select this one. I'm just going to move this guy. He's taking a long journey to help his fellow vector kind on the other side of the tiger world here. I probably should just reflect it. What am I doing? Okay. Put it there. You're almost there, little vector. The little vector, the little vector that could. Okay. Deselect. Okay. So we're pretty much there. And we'll bring it, and we're going to use it to adjust this one. So let's go into max zoom. That's max zoom. Deselect. We're going to take this corner, snap it there, same thing, select this, like that. Okay, now, bye-bye, little helpful vector. You served. You lived up to your purpose. Okay. Yeah, I guess you have to be max zoom to even notice that. That's why I missed it. Okay. So I'm going to select this. And with that selected, I'm just going to go Unite. And let's zoom in. You'll still see the little artifact if we zoom in and deselect, but we'll be able to select those and delete them, select that and delete it. And then we'll do the same on the other side. There we go. So select and delete it, select and delete it. Okay. Well, at least I got to fix it. So you saw that, but I'm not going to round anything. I'll just do that later. I'm just going to toss this one and I'll duplicate this. Okay. I'm actually going to make a copy of this and move that to my X layer. Okay. Okay, so now that we have the shapes for the different coloring built, we're going to take the orange shape here, the one we just fixed, and this is compound, should be. Let's check. It is. I'm going to make a copy of it, and I'm going to make, and by the way, a copy is just F3 for me, keyboard shortcuts. Select this light blue, which will represent the white. And with those two selected, I'm going to go to intersect. So wherever they overlap, we'll create a new shape. And boom, that's what we get. This is going to default to a group, so I'll make it a compound. I'm going to color it not blue. This is going to be white. So you can see it's creating that nice tiger pattern. And then I'm going to select this. And I'm going to clone it, Command-C, Command-F, go to the Reflect tool, find a central anchor point, top of his head's fine, reflect that over to the other side. Now, all we have to do is we can select this, we can select this, we can unite those together. And now I can take these shapes that we're going to use to add some subtle shading. Let's bring those to the front. I'll unite them. And we'll take the white shape, I'll clone it, select the blue, again, intersect with Pathfinder. This is the ones we'll color this blue, and that looks horrible because we're only going to use a very subtle tint, 15%. To get a nice, almost like a grayish blue, just to add that little detail in there. We'll take the tuft of his chin, clone it, select this shape, intersect it, then we can use eyedropper to sample the color of the shading. We'll take a copy or make a copy by selecting it, and I'll go Command-C, Command-F. For me, it's just F3 keyboard shortcut I've been using for way too long. And there we go. We have our tiger. I actually think this tiger looks really nice. Now, ultimately, on the final one, I may take this, the outside, the perimeter of the tiger head shape, and I might add some thickness to it based off of the body that I add it to get, there's actually two body poses I'll use this on. So I like how this came out. Hopefully you got something useful there. I kind of figure if the client doesn't go for this, I could just use it as a nice piece, maybe do a sticker design. Who knows? I hope you found this content somewhat helpful and you learned a few things along the way. If you enjoy... Wow, it's getting hot in this booth. If you enjoy the People of Process channel, thank you for just giving me a simple like. That helps. At least that's what YouTube tells me. All of those who are members, they get all the free content that I send out, like I just did my beautiful DECAY spot texture brush set. And all the members got that for free. So that's available in Retro Supply. There's a link in the description below this movie. And this is way too long. I didn't mean it to be this long. So until next time, thank you for watching People of Process. And as always, this is the over-the-shoulder impromptu vector building, raw and unedited.